The View. The women of The View have been incredibly cringe since Kamala Harris lost this election. They were cringe during the election too, but now they become even more cringe. In particular, Sunny Hostin. Sunny Hostin has to be the most deranged, out of touch, classist member on that panel right now. And this is a girl who apparently grew up in the Bronx, okay? Sunny Hostin doesn't want to believe that Kamala Harris lost because she didn't have a working class agenda, because she didn't have a strong economic platform to run on, because she did not have the correct position on Gaza and she ignored Muslim voters. She wants to pretend it's all these other reasons: racism, sexism, misogyny, like everything else except for the fact that Kamala Harris's campaign sucked. Don't believe me? Let's bring in the first clip here from The View.
And finally, we talk a lot about these different demographics and these assumptions of where they're going to go. Latinos in Texas, a district that's 97% Latino, went 75 percentage points for Donald Trump. Why?
Misogyny.
It's on the border.
It's
the border crisis is on their doorstep.
So
and they were begging people to care about it for years. We need to take some lessons.
That's what that was.
The lessons are not.
Knock. Who's there? Oh my gosh, it's Whoopi.
So that was Whoopi there trying to join that conversation. So Sunny Hostin doesn't want to believe that Latino voters may have voted for Donald Trump because of the border issue, because of immigration. According to Sunny Hostin, it's all because of misogyny. Really? All of them? All the Latino men that voted for Donald Trump are misogynist? What about the Latino women that voted for Donald Trump? Are they misogynist too? Do they have internalized misogyny? Is that what's going on there, Sonny? So you just want to pretend like what happens at the border doesn't happen? It's no big deal. And I tell you guys this multiple times. I have spoken to immigrants in this country, and the consensus that I have received from most of them is that they are not in support of what is happening at the border. They are not in support with illegal immigration. They are not in support with the migrant crisis. And it's not that they don't care and feel for the people, but it's more so that they feel as though they had to do it the right way. And now they don't have to do, the other groups don't have to do it the right way. And not only that, but they're given housing and debit cards and all this other stuff. Now, I always tell you guys on this show, you have to link it back to foreign policy. So when people tell you foreign policy and domestic policy don't connect, that's bullshit. They definitely do connect. The reason why they're coming here is because of what has happened in those countries. A lot of that has to do with U.S. imperialism, U.S. interventionism, wars abroad in those countries. And that is why a lot of those people end up migrating to the U.S. By the way, it is also not uncommon for them to migrate to another country first before they make their way here. A lot of people don't realize this. The number of people that are coming from Venezuela are not necessarily Venezuelan. They migrated to Venezuela from another country. So they started there first. So we have to keep that in mind. That being said, to link everything to misogyny because they didn't want to vote for Kamala. I heard this during Hillary 2016, and I got to tell you, it really does not work well. And Democrats need to come up with a different strategy. Because the reality is, like, I feel it is divisive when you assume that every man that voted for Donald Trump did so because they don't like women, did so because they're misogynist. Didn't you supposed to learn this from Hillary Clinton 2016? And people are still saying the same talking points. Because according to Sonny, it's not the border. It's not the economy. It's nothing. It's just the fact that she's a woman, and that's it. That's it. And I'm here to tell you that that is not the case. So, misogyny there for Sunny Hostin. And you can see the smug look on her face. You know, she is also playing a part. the women on this show, on The View, again, this is a talk show. When the show first started, it was Barbara Walters' creation, and it was not a political show. I remember when the show started. But somewhere along the way into the Trumpish era, it became more of a political show, and they focused more on that. And I think that was a mistake, because a lot of times they don't know what they're talking about, including Sunny. But Sunny's part is to be the BIPOC member on the show to convince you that everything that's wrong is because of your race, your gender, or it's everyone who supports, Trump is racist, sexist. Like, that's her role. And they all have a role. And you'll see that if you ever watch that show. So there's the misogyny part. Then we get to Stephen A. Smith's appearance on The View, where he had to lay it out to Sunny Hostin about the immigration issue, right? So I don't agree with Stephen A. Smith on everything, but I think he did this very well. Listen to this.
55% of Latino men voted for Trump. Why do you think that happened?
Well, I think that economically, they were looking at things. First of all, you've got, in this country, you've got Cubans, Mexicans, Puerto Ricans, Guatemalans, Venezuelans, Colombians, et cetera, et cetera. And if you talk to the Hispanic community, depending on who you're talking to, they think differently. The Cubans think differently than the Dominicans. The Dominicans think different than Colombians. To some, the economy was a priority. To some, believe it or not, it was the border. You had some folks within the Hispanic populace that were encouraging the borders to be closed.
They want to pull the.
But here's why that's so imperative. It's so important, because we're not Latinos.
No, well, Sunny is half Latino, right? She's Puerto Rican and African-American. So she is half Latino. So I thought that was interesting when Stephen A. said that. So that goes to show you how much he knew about her. That being said, why are they asking this question to Stephen A. Smith, who's a sports announcer? I watched him for years on First Take. I think he's very entertaining. I appreciate his sports analysis. He has somehow made his way into the political realm. Again, no shade to that. People make changes or whatever. But why are you asking Stephen A. Smith about how Latino men voted instead of talking to Latino men? Hello? Anybody? Why are they interviewing Latino men about this? Why are you asking Stephen A. Smith? Anybody want to tell me? I think that was a mistake.
We're not Latinos. We're not Latinos. They're telling you that's what we want. Yeah. We have to stay online. We have to be online in order to get in. Who are you to bypass the line? And one of my friends, I remember he used this analogy, and I never forget this as long as I live. He said, you like Six Flags, you go to Great Adventures? I said, I have. He said, sure. Disney World? Sure, I have. Of course I have. He said, so you stand in line, Take about 2 hours to get on some of these rides because they're that popular. He said, and right before it's time for you to get on that line, somebody jumps in front of you. What you gonna do? And he said that kind of mentality is how you have folks within the Latino, within the Hispanic community, some of them, not all, but some of them who view immigration that way. So again, when you think about the economics, when you think about immigration, those two things are what I have found has influenced the Hispanic vote one way or the other.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really good point that Stephen A. Smith brought that up here. But again, it was kind of strange considering that, she is half Latina. And she's talked about that before multiple times on the show. And it was just kind of weird. Like, why are you asking him? Stephen A. Smith isn't Latino. Very weird, right? So again, that's his response about why they voted the way that they did. It makes more sense to me. And it definitely sounds a lot better than, oh, it's because they're misogynist. I hate when people just throw that out there. Just throw it out. He also said something else to Sunny on The View. And I want you to hear this too, because this goes to show you the classism that comes from Sunny Hostin. Check this out.
Do you think the Republicans are sort of an extreme fringe party?
No, I don't think that they're an extreme fringe party. I think that they're operating against those they believe are extreme on the left. Like, for example, when you talk about the LGBTQ community, I'm a fiscal conservative and I'm a social liberal. Mm-hmm. I'm fiscal with my dollars. I ain't apologizing for not wanting to pay high taxes to anybody. I'm not apologizing for that, right? But outside of that, I'm pretty liberal. Live and let live, okay? But you had folks on the left that were introducing some things when we got in the whole transgender issue, and they were talking about bathrooms, or they were talking about males transitioning to females and competing against girls in sports and stuff like that. These
That's
are
less than 1% of the population.
I understand that,
But you know what? Ridiculous.
So you see what Stephen A is trying to wake them up again. Stephen A. Smith is not a Democrat. He's an independent. And I think they probably assume, oh, Stephen A. Smith is black. He's been very critical against, Donald Trump. Let's bring him on. Let's get his opinion, not realizing that he was actually going to educate them here for a second.
But I think that's where the mistake is made.
Yeah,
you're saying it's ridiculous. I don't disagree with you. Yeah. But most of the voters out there don't think like that.
But that means they don't have the information.
Okay, but 90% of the voters don't have the information. If you're out there busting your tail to make ends meet and to pay your bills, and you're going to work every day, and you got a family to take care of, and you're in New York City, you're getting stuck 2 hours of your day, you're stuck in traffic. You understand? You got a whole bunch of stuff to go through. You don't have time to know what you and I know.
Maybe you need to listen.
That is a class issue. We'll go back just a little bit because I want you to hear what she says, but that's a class issue. The women on this show, you guys got to understand, I'm going to show you their net worth in a minute. The women on this show don't live the kind of life that you and I live. Those women are rich. They're like millionaire. You have to understand, these women are rich. They are paid. Okay. They're not paid. They're paid. Seriously. So they don't know that experience. They don't understand that the majority of Americans that are working class, especially if they're working 2 jobs, and I've been there, I've worked 2 jobs before, they don't have time to sit there and watch the news. They don't have time to sit there and say, oh, Fox News said this, CNN said that, let me go do some research. They don't have time for that shit. Especially if you're working 2 jobs or you're working 12-hour shifts or 14-hour shifts, the one thing you want to do when you get home is eat and go to sleep. And that's if you don't have kids. So they're completely out of touch. And this is what I've continued to tell people. These women represent a certain class that the average American is not a part of. Don't think that they're just sitting on The View and they're getting just like local TV anchor pay. No. These women are rich. Okay? They're out of touch. They can have people go shop and get their groceries for them. This is what Jordan Sheridan was talking about this earlier. They can have people go get groceries for them. They don't have to look at grocery store prices. You think any of these women know how much a carton of eggs cost? I bet you they don't. Right? So they don't have time. Working class people don't have time for that. But listen to what she says.
You need to listen to the news when you're in traffic.
Well, again, I agree with that. Traffic, you understand? You got a whole bunch of stuff to go through. You don't have time to know what you and I know.
Maybe you need to listen to the news when you're in traffic.
Well, again, I agree with that.
Be uninformed.
Did you hear what she said? That was a snarky response.
Listen to stuff that's going to take you away from the things that brings down your spirit. And that's unfortunately what most voters are doing.
Let me ask you this. How
Pause there. So do you see what Sunny did there? She said, well, maybe they can listen to the news while they're sitting in traffic. This woman is completely out of touch with reality and the working class. Why are you assuming everyone's in a car? Doesn't The View take place in New York City? The majority of New Yorkers don't own a car. So why are you, that's your mind right there. You're probably not hopping on the subway, Sonny. You're probably not hopping on a bus, Sonny. You probably have a driver that takes you to the studio every morning. You get your hair and your makeup done and you just go about your toodaloo day. You're not running down the stairs to catch a damn subway. You're not trying to hail a cab. You're not trying to get on the bus. You see, this is a class issue. And what this show has constantly shown me is that the women of The View are classist as hell. And even when you try to explain to someone like Sunny Hostin about what working class people go through, her response is, well, maybe you should listen to the news while you're in traffic. Such an elitist thing to say. Sunny Hostin, who's also an AKA, just like Kamala Harris, by the way. well, the voters, they don't have the information. They just don't have it. And they need to listen to the news while they're in traffic. Again, blaming the voters. Blaming the voters. There's more. Here's another one. When they argue about Donald Trump's win, another thing that Sonny Hostin just doesn't seem to understand.
But when you look at the proof,
but Joy, it's condescending. It's condescending. There is a
condescending.
The way that the left speaks to its voters. It really is
a message of joy and inclusiveness.
No, the message of not being educated, being dumb, and what's wrong with America.
Did you hear what she said? Sonny Hostin said, "You mean being joy and inclusiveness?" You see, this rich woman vibes. Rich women don't want to hear about your being poor. They don't want to hear about your economic situation if you're struggling. They just want you to focus on joy and inclusiveness because they don't have nothing else to focus on but joy and inclusiveness. When you ain't never had to struggle, when you don't have to worry about working paycheck to paycheck to make ends meet, when you don't have to worry about getting an unexpected expense, yeah, you can focus on joy. You can sit back and focus on inclusiveness when you ain't got to worry about those things. When you ain't got to worry about whether or not you're going to have enough money or if you're going to be able to pay the light bill. And some of us have been in that situation. Now, Sonny say she from the Bronx and she don't know this life. Think about this for a second. You can focus on joy, but you can't sit up there and tell poor people and working class people, just focus on joy and inclusiveness. When people are working multiple jobs, when people are working long shifts, they're not trying to focus on no damn joy. They trying to make that paycheck so that they can pay their bills. They're hoping that no one in their household gets an illness or gets sick and they have to go to the doctor or the hospital because they won't be able to afford the bill because the health insurance that they have doesn't cover everything, or they don't have any health insurance. So these women are out of touch. When you're poor, your joy is not focusing on a political campaign. Your joy might be those little moments you get to spend with your kids before you have to put them to bed and you have to get up in the morning and do everything all over again the next day. Your joy is not focusing on, oh, this woman's running for president. That's not the joy. You ain't got time to focus on no damn inclusiveness when you're trying to pay bills. This is the elite liberalism.
Who said that?
Sonny just did.
What is wrong with
Joy,
America?
my point here is that
That's not what Kamala Harris said.
No. But my point is, I don't blame Joe Biden. I don't blame Kamala Harris. Go back as far as you want. I blame a messaging within the Democratic Party.
You don't blame the Republican Party
Can I just finish my point, please? I obviously have a problem. Anyone has a problem with Donald Trump. The bigger question should be, yes, Sonny, why did they vote for him?
Yes.
In sweeping.
So they need to be introspective.
No, we need to be introspective. If we voted for Kamala Harris, we need to say what didn't resonate with the voters. Do you know what didn't resonate with the voters? When they were saying we don't feel safe and the left focused on defund the police and bail reform. Yeah. When they said we're worrying about. Can I just finish? Let me just finish real quickly. When
I want to pause here for a second because they keep saying the left and it really pisses me off. The Democratic Party is not left. The Democratic Party is not left. They keep trying to claim that, but they're not left. You can't be left and you got a party full of neocons. They don't really support progressive policies. Do people understand progressives are to the left of the Democratic Party? The Democratic Party at best is a center-right party. So we have to educate people about that. We really do. We got to stop people. We got to get people to understand. Please stop referring to the Democratic Party as left.
they were focused on renaming.
Only an hour show, ladies.
Joy. When they were focused on renaming schools, there were people saying, hey, students are destroying colleges. I paid for that. I sent them there. They can't learn. And everyone apologized for it and didn't want to attend to it. They also denied the border was a crisis and kept saying, no, it's fine. This is not a...
There was a border bill.
this is a class issue as well. I'm sorry. Most people that have said they voted for Donald Trump is not because they sent money to some college. You're talking about people like Bill Ackman, rich ass people. The everyday working class people that voted to Donald Trump ain't send no money to no damn college. So it's all of this, the classism with these women.
Though there was a border bill.
Yes, but Joy, my point is they screamed and screamed and screamed. They didn't vote for him because he's a racist or a misogynist. They voted because they needed help in their everyday lives.
But Sarah,
they
voted-
the majority of
How
this
do you know
country,
that?
because
There's a lot
every stat coming out on the people willing to self-reflect are showing these.
Oh, wait, they're going to say I'm a racist and a misogynist in the exit poll?
You
I don't
really think
so.
74 million
Joy,
people are racist?
Who's gonna say that?
Every racist and misogynist voted for Donald Trump. Not everyone that voted for Donald Trump was a racist and misogynist.
I agree with that.
Everyone swept. They swept every category. And the reason they did is to say, hey, guys, no excuses this time.
Yeah.
Look,
they lost everything.
There's
A
still half
country
the
that
country
allows its
doesn't agree with
environment to be
him.
ravaged, its children to be shot, its wealth to be hoarded, its workers to be exploited, its poor to starve, its cops to murder.
So you think America's
It's
the
a country
problem?
in trouble.
So America's
so
the
we go
problem
with
and the
Trump is-
voters.
Let me just say something here. You know what? If we have another female presidential candidate again, they should not go on to this show. These women will be the death of your campaign because they're not focused on policy. They, especially Sunny, they are focused on what you look like, the fact that you're a woman, your identity. They're focused on the classism too. And like I said, there's a level of classism within that particular space. And you're also going to see that behavior displayed here as well.
You know, what I don't like is this finger pointing blame game that's going on within the Democratic Party. And I've said this before. Why isn't the conversation about how Republicans can get behind a convicted felon? Why Republicans are behind this crass, I don't even have the words for it, this twice impeached former president. You know, what I don't like is this finger pointing blame game that's going on within the Democratic Party. And I've said this before. Why isn't the conversation about how Republicans can get behind a convicted felon?
There it is, that convicted felon thing. Again, that is very off-putting to a certain segment of the population. But Sonny Hostin doesn't want to hear that. You know why? Because Sonny Hostin was a prosecutor, just like her friend Kamala Harris. They were both AKAs and they were both prosecutors. Sonny Hostin likes to lock people up. So to her, it's, this person was a felon. What happened to people being rehabilitated and people being able to learn their lesson and move on with their lives? All of these women are hypocrites, and that includes damn Sonny Hostin. If you can sit there and you can smile in 50 Cent's face, who was also a criminal, if you can sit there and you can smile in Snoop's face, Dr. Dre's face, all these people, Martha Stewart's face, who were all criminals, you are full of shit. Because y'all let them come right on that show, and I didn't hear you call them criminals. Typical boule attitude, typical boule response. Prosecutor, AKA criminal, felon. But I guess the ones that are, acceptable to you, you can let them get by. They can slide by. That rhetoric turns off a certain demographic in this country. And you wonder why you continue to lose. Prosecutor. Get the fuck out of here, Sonny. Get out of here. Get out. Rich women. How rich are they? Class system. The View host ranked by net worth. This is from Parade, by the way. Let's just go down the list. Let me show you. Okay. Alyssa Farah Griffin. She's number 6. Net worth. She's newer, so keep that in mind. So she may not have as much as the others. Her net worth hasn't been reported by a reputable source, so they're not sure about her. Anna Navarro, again, wealthy woman, and fake too. Fake it, fake. She's more of a guest host. Like, she wasn't a main host for a while, but it says that she's pulling in around $250,000 per year with The View. It says she has an estimated net worth of $3 million. You see, these women are rich. Sunny Hostin, number 4. Sunny Hostin, okay? So these women live in a world that you and I do not live in. We are not a part of. Sunny Hostin's estimated net worth is $3 million. Again, she was a prosecutor, and of course, public attorneys often make less, yada, yada. So most of her money came from her career in television. $3 million. I'm not worth $3 million. Are you worth $3 million? I don't know anyone in my personal bubble that is worth $3 million. This is a class issue, and people have to call it out. And it doesn't matter if it's Sunny, it doesn't matter if it's Anna Navarra, but the reality is these women do not live the lives that the average American lives. They're not worried about the cost of eggs because they probably got somebody else to buy their groceries for them. Not to mention Sunny Hostin also writes books, and she's made a lot of money off those books as well. I wouldn't even say these things about her if she could get it through her freaking head that it's not okay to shit on working people, working class people. It's not okay to say that working class people are uneducated. It's not okay to have this attitude towards the working poor. The same people who pour your coffee, the same people who serve your tea, the same people who give you your goddamn sandwich. These are working class people that you take it upon yourself to look down on and point your finger at because they didn't vote for your AKA beloved sister Kamala Harris. Get out of here. Period. I have no empathy. I have no tolerance for classism. None. Some of us know what it's like to be broke. Some of us know what it's like to have to struggle. And it is very clear to me that these women do not. Any excuse, because your friend did not win. Everyone say it with me. Your friend did not win. We can make a song out of it. So everybody's racist or sexist because they didn't support your friend. But it's funny, you want to blame everybody else. And James Carville, the crypt keeper, is actually blaming you, Sonny. He's blaming you for the reason why Kamala Harris lost.
I told Adam DeGurney, we didn't even get a chance to kick the tires. We just said, you're buying the car and you have no choice. And of course, we bought the car. And I think if this campaign is reducible to one moment, we're in a 65% wrong track country. The country wants something different. And she's asked, as so often the case in a friendly audience on The View, how would you be different than Biden? It's the one question that you exist to answer. All right? That is it. That's the money question. That's the one you want. That's the one that everybody wants to know the answer to. And you freeze. You literally freeze and say, well, I can't think of anything. And once you get in it, so we said 65% want something different. We are just not going to give in to them, but maybe the odiousness of Trump combined with the Dobbs decision, we can overcome it. Well, we didn't overcome it. But when we go back and history unearths this, it's going to be right there on The View. And I think her name was Sunny Hostin, Houston or whatever, asked the question. And that's the most devastating answer you could imagine.
There it is, huh? But of course, at the end of the day, you have to blame the candidate. At the end of the day, you have to blame the candidate, whether it was bad decisions, whether it was bad advice that she was given. In the day, it was Kamala Harris who decided to go with the advice that she was given and ignore the progressive base. And that was a terrible idea. And blaming people for saying they're misogynist or they're racist because they supported Donald Trump, again, are some of them that way? Yes. Are all of them that way? No. And it's just, it just boggles my mind. I can't believe that they did not learn from 2016. And Sonny, we're going to need you to fall back. You've been pissing a lot of people off this past year. We're going to need you to fall back for a minute, maybe take a break, go on an extended vacation, whatever you want to call it nowadays. Do what you got to do, because you are not giving good representation. And we talk about that. We talk about people being represented. And I told you again, there's nothing wrong with representation, but what is the representation representing? What are they saying? What are they doing? And how does that make the groups that they represent look? Always keep that in mind. Hey guys, this was a Sabby clip. If you like what you saw, hit that like button and subscribe.